Hello, we're back. It's the Neon Nightcast podcast. I'm your host, Michael Thrax, and I am joined by Garrett Zagri and Eric Dr. Soybean.
Thanks, sir, as I like to call the two of you, the Norm and Cliff to my Sam.
I know
that one was easy.
That one's really easy. Everyone should know that one. I can already.
But we're not Norm or Sam, you fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said you were Norm and Cliff, and I'm Sam.
Yeah, I don't want to be Norm or Cliff. I would much rather be Norm than Cliff.
Yeah, that's true. I would rather be, but if I had to choose, even though he got left at the altar, I think I'd rather be Frasier because it's fucking Frasier.
So I can already tell my mouth seems really like stiff tonight, so my words are gonna be fucked. But that's all right.
So nothing's different.
No, but this one like I slurred that intro. Anyways, yeah, you know us if you're watching us. We're the Neon Nightcast podcast. If you're new,
in your face from outer space.
If you're new, we do a podcast about pop culture. And tonight's episode, we're going to talk about a classic movie, one of my personal favorites.
So overrated.
It's called Blade Runner. It was made in, 82, did we say?
Yes.
1982. It's a sci-fi movie made by Ridley Scott.
Yeah, I didn't know Ridley Scott did this one because... I don't what are Ridley Scott's most recent movies?
Anything Alien.
Yeah, and I didn't. Yeah, so was this where Ridley Scott got his big break? Is this where he got his name?
No. Because I think the first Alien movie was like 70, was like 79 or something like that.
I see. All right.
So Blade Runner is based off of a book called "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?" Someone please Google the author while I continue speaking. Philip K. Dick. So the movie Blade Runner is based off that book. It stars Harrison Ford. He plays Deckard, a quote-unquote Blade Runner, which is basically a cop / bounty hunter of a replicant. Replicants are basically androids. Made to be like humans, mostly just like minors and sex slaves and stuff. And it is his journey hunting down 4 escaped replicants.
But it soon becomes 5. Because of Rachel.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll get into the plot and stuff as we talk about it. I guess I'll go first this time. I really like this movie. I understand what some people don't like it because it is really slow paced. There's a lot of long, drawn out scenes with not a lot of talking, but I think it just kind of adds to the atmosphere of the movie and like what they were going for. I think it's really good. It has the ending is great. With the ending of Roy's final goodbye.
It's not,
Roy
though.
Being the main villain.
I wouldn't call him a villain. I'd say antagonist.
Yeah, antagonist. That's the better word. It's just I really like the movie. Visually it's great. Musically it's great. Acting is good. The graphics aren't outdated because they didn't really overdo the CGI. Like it's CGI from the 80s, and you can tell, but it's not bad. I just really I don't know, because I literally watched the CinemaSins today of recording this, that it came out because I guess like the new movie's coming out in a few days, and he's just so much of the negative stuff that he talked about the movie. I was just like, no, and I know it's CinemaSins, right? He has to just point out everything, even if he doesn't believe it. That's the show. And I don't know. Anyway, so what did you guys think? Garrett, did you like it? You just recently watched it.
I thought it was overrated as fuck. It was slow. It was boring. I didn't enjoy it. Like, it wasn't that great.
Yeah.
It was definitely overhyped. Like, the story of the Blade Runners, like the actual lore, the book, I think it's a great idea. Yeah. I just don't think this movie did it justice. Like, maybe the next one will, Blade Runner 2049, maybe. But like, this one was just so slow.
The thing with the lore in like the book is like the book definitely explains more stuff. Like the book goes more into detail of how like.
Well, yeah, all books go.
Yeah,
into more
any
detail.
book is gonna. I mean, it's the same thing as last week with Jurassic Park. Same thing.
But what I was trying to say is. The book goes more into details like why the people on Earth or what they're doing, and there's a lot of stuff like all the animals you see in the movie. Like I guarantee you, none of those are like real living animals, and they never really go into that. The only thing they really talk about is like the snake, and they're like, "Oh, is it real?" And,
the owl also.
Of course, it's not. Yeah, the owl they talk about being real.
Owl's fake.
Oh, the owl is fake. Okay, right? Because the owls are one of the first animals to die. In the book, I guess maybe the movie. But so the book has a lot of really weird things it talks about, and there's a lot of weird like kind of like side adventures. Not really side adventures, but like there's one part where he gets taken into a police station, and he figures out that they're all replicants, and that this is a fake police station, and then like nothing really comes of it, if I'm remembering correctly. And I just thought it was a really weird thing that the replicants were able to have like an entire fake police station to like fool people to help replicants and stuff. And like I just some things in the book. Well, I guess maybe we'll get more into it, but
okay. But like, why did replicants first get invented? As I think where we should start. Why are there replicants?
Oh, wait, but to end the point of why I brought that up was. I think the movie touched on some things better than the book did. That's just my opinion. Replicants were what? They're made to do work that they didn't want to send humans to do. I think they were basically like canaries for Mars.
See, here's where you get on like this slippery slope of like, are they sentient? Are they slaves? Because it sounds like they're just slaves.
So I feel like earlier models would have been basically just robots, and then they figured out better technology, and then it became more of this more and more realistic thing.
Because this just makes me think of Data from TNG.
Yeah.
And like there were multiple episodes about like, what if there are more androids? What if androids become their own race? Like, would they have owners, or would they be like them? Would they be sentient? Would they have freedom?
Well, that's kind of the thing in Blade Runner is they're escaping from their imprisonment.
Yeah, so like I can't blame any of the replicants. Like I don't think the replicants are bad people.
Well, like in the entire movie, they're just trying to like
they're just trying to survive.
And then they're just trying to prolong their lives.
Yeah, because they have that thing where they only live for 4 days or 4 years?
4 years. So I think the older models might not have that same lifespan. I think that might only be newer models like Roy and Rachel. But anyways, Eric, did you like Blade Runner?
I guess my opinion of it kind of falls somewhere between the two of you. I didn't have a problem. I don't have a problem with slow-paced movies. Blade Runner, maybe it was a little too slow in parts, but I did really enjoy the visual style of the movie. It's a very good-looking movie. I did like the story a lot. I liked the movie, just not anywhere near to the level that you liked it, Mike.
Yeah.
That's my basic feeling on it. Like, I liked it. It's nowhere near a favorite. It had its problems, maybe a little bit too slow, but I didn't dislike it either.
See, the thing that I like about slow shots or slow scenes are, like, there's the one where he's walking up the staircase to go finish off the two last replicants because he figures out where they are because they just did whatever. And in CinemaSins today, he complained about it, and I was like, that's a great scene because it just builds tension.
Oh, I don't have a problem with slow pacing at all. In fact, it drives me nuts that movies these days, especially movies intended for a younger audience, like you have to have ADD to even follow what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, I agree with you guys that, like, I'm not against slow movies either, but like to the point, like on Blade Runner, it was so bad, like
they might have overdone it a little bit
because like there was nothing going on, like nothing story wise.
It is a good movie to fall asleep to.
But like there was just nothing going on.
They might have overdone it a little bit. You're right. I'm not gonna argue with that. That's one of the things I felt about the movie is they might have overdone it a bit in parts. I mean, you can go too far the other way, right? So
I like it because when I first saw it, I thought it was going to be an action movie. I thought it was going to be just like him blowing up fucking androids.
That's what I thought it was also.
And then I saw it and I was like, oh, okay, it's not a super deep like sleuth movie, but like it has great detective parts. Like I love the scene where he's like drunk and he's like looking at the pictures and he figures the shit out with that machine. And I don't know, I fucking love the movie. I think like I understand like Garrett, not even Garrett, not even you by yourself, but like my favorite movie, and I've said this before on the podcast, is The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. And that thing is slow paced, long scenes, 3 hours fucking long, but it's the greatest movie ever made. And I
make me not want to watch
I would recommend it to you because I fucking love that movie, but I just don't think that you would like it. And I don't think a lot of people would like it. Y'all know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
I was waiting for a response, boys.
I get what you're saying. I mean, your taste is your taste. You like what you like, but it's not necessarily going to be a universal appeal, obviously.
Yeah, I feel like this is like, does it have that much popularity? I feel like this is like
Blade
a cult
Runner?
classic more than
Blade Runner is a super cult classic. I remember watching like MTV Cribs once, and I forget who the rapper was, but he was like looking through his DVD collection. He's like, Blade Runner, classic. And I was like, oh my god, he likes Blade Runner too?
Well, you know what was cool was the American Dad episode. They did an episode of American Dad that kind of had a Blade Runner parody in it, if you remember that.
Yeah.
I do not remember that.
The prom theme was like dystopian future or something.
Yeah. And Stan was like Deckard.
Yeah.
Remember, it was the one where Steve was dating that robot chick?
Something like that.
With those shows like Family Guy and American Dad, there's just like way too many episodes. Yeah. I can't remember them all.
Yeah.
Like with Rick and Morty, I can remember almost every single episode because there's only like 31 out now, and it's super easy to reference episodes by the main story. Mr. Poopy you say Mr. Poopy Butthole, and it's the clone ones.
Yeah.
Or Unity, it's the one where
they're on the planet with Unity.
The planet, with a shit ton of people. And the race wars about the nipples.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, like there's a lot of American Dad and a lot of Family Guy.
And Blade Runner, the whole theory of the whole plot point with the replicants, that seems to be something that often comes up in sci-fi.
Yeah.
Maybe like some of it directly inspired by Blade Runner, maybe some of it not, but that seems to be like a very common thing. The whole like
I think like the book is kind of what started that genre, maybe. I'm not for sure, but it might be like kind of like how Lovecraft's books kind of started that genre of that kind of horror. I think maybe Philip K. Dick kind of started that genre of science fiction.
You might be right. It's definitely a big influence on the cult classic Sega CD game Snatcher.
Oh yeah, Snatcher. They just like Kojima straight up just said, I took from Terminator and Blade Runner.
Interestingly enough, the porn version of that game is also called Snatcher.
You.
Jesus.
You. Now, the book has a really big emphasis. See, I told you.
Emphasis.
My mouth today. Holy.
Emphasis.
Emphasis.
Like, I'm about to empha your sis.
Anyways, it has a big, whatever word I can't pronounce tonight on happiness, because everyone left on Earth they're basically just, they weren't wealthy or healthy enough to get put on Mars, so they're basically left on radiated Earth to die. And there's stuff where, like, the JF Sebastian character in the book, he lives in a giant apartment building by himself.
I would not mind living in this world. I could, this would be fine with me.
So there's like a duty where you're supposed to get an animal, and if you can't afford a real animal, you get an android animal, and that's like your duty, and that will take care of it and make sure it's safe. And so, like, on top of Deckard's apartment building, there's basically a barn, and everyone from the apartment building just has their animal in this barn, and he goes.
Is this in the
This is in the book.
Movie?
The book.
Okay, because like I don't remember any of this.
Yeah, and then there's this other weird stuff in the book where, like, there's like a TV station with like only one channel, one show, and it's just like a talk show, and then the Sebastian character in the book, he's too dumb, because in the book, Sebastian is a moron. He's not like a genius. He's a moron, and he's too dumb to realize that they're replicants because they're on the air like 24/7. And it's just really, and like there's like a machine that Deckard has or some shit that if you're holding it, it will connect you mentally to like everyone else in the world that's holding this machine, and it's supposed to like make you feel like connected. So he kind of,
I was going to say that kind of almost sounds like an early sci-fi version of the internet.
Yeah, it's really.
Oh, there you go, Eric. Never thought of that.
It's really like the book has a lot of really neat things that it talks about that they didn't bring up in the movie, and I guess it makes sense, right?
They probably didn't have time, though.
They didn't, have time to go into it all. I don't know. I think like the book is definitely worth a read as well.
Do you think they could have made a more successful TV series out of this?
I think, now if they wanted to do...
well, I mean, they're not going to, obviously, since they're now coming out with a movie.
But if they wanted to do a TV series of the book and just stay completely true to the book, I think it'd be fucking amazing. Because there's a lot of going back between Deckard and the Sebastian character, and then like he hunts, I think, 5 or 4 replicants, and they each have a totally different, unique setting and different things that happen and stuff. So I think it could be a good TV show.
I would also like a spin-off where even it shows humanity on Mars and what life is like there.
Yeah, and like how poorly the replicants are treated.
Yeah, and like, oh man, like, because there's so much potential, because you could have like a replicant uprising on Mars for like replicant rights, and it could be it could go so well with culture today.
Yeah. No, yeah, like really,
like,
they could say
how Star Trek did, like with the first like interracial kiss. The first like Star Trek was great in terms of like social rights.
Yeah, we talked about the episode before where
that.
Data makes the kid, and he allows it to pick its race and gender and whatever. Yeah. But go on.
Yeah, I think a TV series of Blade Runner could be very accurate to today's politics,
social problems.
Yeah, sure. Social politics is what I was trying to think of, a way to say, but
yeah, Yeah, no, I really with the replicants they could say a lot about a lot without really saying it, you know.
Yeah.
Well, so in the book, Roy just dies. Like Deckard walks into the apartment building, he sees Roy, and he shoots him in the face, and he's dead.
Well, I mean, in the movie, it's just like this hide and seek until Roy dies.
Yeah.
So
he's really less of like the chosen one in the book, but yeah, in the movie, it's really like you were the greatest replicant ever made. So why the fuck did you send him off to Mars to be like a fucking worker?
Oh, is that true?
So,
is that like in the movie he was like the best replicant model or what?
Well, when he goes and talks to Terrell, he's like, "Oh, like you're brilliant, you're beautiful, like you can see it in your eyes." And he's like, "I remember these eyes." And like he remembers Roy, and he talks about how intelligent he made Roy, because like he even beats him
in chess.
Yeah. So why was he sent to Mars?
Like, well, I mean, even in the beginning, like all replicants, it said, of the Nexus 6 class were as smart as the people that made them. At least, it said, were at least as smart as the people that made them. So, like, replicants are extremely smart. And, like, you're making AI that is super fucking intelligent. And it just goes back to Stephen Hawking of, like, we should be fucking worried about AI. Like,
apparently,
we need to have some restraints on AI.
Yeah, apparently, Elon.
I think the idea of trying to make AI smarter than humans is pretty fucking stupid when you think about it.
You're just asking for a Matrix.
Yeah, man, it doesn't make sense.
Elon Musk or whatever has been apparently tweeting a lot about that same thing, about how like we should be scared of AI.
Well, to quote Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park, scientists are so concerned with whether or not they could, they don't stop to think about whether or not they should.
That
is what he said.
Quote so commonly said on Reddit, and I just every time I see it, I like it.
Yeah,
I'm just like, I love this quote. It says so much.
I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but like I fully believe that the Matrix, well, not like living inside of like a computer program, but like machine taking over, a machine being like the next dominant species, is like totally accurate. Like that's going to be a thing. Humans will be wiped out by the robots, and the robots will continue to live on Earth.
I think it's possible.
I think it's possible. I'm not sure that that's realistic, really.
It's just like...
So, I mean, I feel like if you hit like any kind of mechanical, electronic entity with an electromagnetic pulse, it just fries it, kills it, unless it's inside a Faraday cage, which, if they're going to take over humanity, you can't build an enormous Faraday cage over the Earth. And even if you did, like, explosions inside would still disrupt electric mechanical beings. So it doesn't seem too realistic.
But who knows?
For me.
Maybe the AI will figure out a better way, right?
I guess. I mean, they're going to be smarter than us, so
exactly. It's either going to be robots or cockroaches. But like humans are not going to be on Earth.
Could even be avians. Birds are extremely smart.
And this is not a new idea either. I mean, when you think about it, what was the first ever story about a man-made creation becoming sentient and then running amok?
Flubber.
Good answer, but no, I actually think it was Frankenstein, which is what, like 120 years ago or something like that.
Some shit like that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's pretty old.
Frankenstein has a scene in that movie, the black and white one, that everyone says is one of the greatest scenes of all time. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
There's like a scene where the monster goes to a little girl and she's throwing like flowers or like petals of a flower into the stream, and he thinks it's like pretty or some shit. So he ends up picking her up and throwing her in the river. And it's all like, oh, you can't tell the difference. He just sees like beauty and all this shit. And I'm like, yeah, that's a cute scene, but I don't know if it's one of the greatest scenes ever done in ever.
I don't know who's describing it as that, but
oh, I've seen lots of posts and shit about it.
Frankenstein came out in 1818.
Wow,
so
holy shit.
200 years old.
It is really old. Holy shit. And that's still like relevant today. Like Frankenstein is fucking mentioned all the time.
If you think of like all the Disney stories, a lot of those are even older than Frankenstein.
Yeah, they're like
because of the
300 or more years.
Brothers Grimm or whatever.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, literally hundreds of years old.
It's crazy how how long some stuff can last. But I think
and then if you think of Alexander the Great, like that was over 2,000 years ago. So
okay, but
and he's still
talked
about quite a bit.
All the fucking Greek and Roman mythology. But like, okay, so in like 1,000 years, they're probably still going to be talking about Frankenstein, but no one's going to be talking about Family Guy.
People are still going to be talking about Genghis Khan, that's for sure.
Well, yeah.
The greatest ruler in all of history.
Well, he actually happened, but I don't know.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to get Genghis Khan in there because he's my favorite historical personality.
Yeah, I don't think people will remember Family Guy as much as Frankenstein. I think you're right about that.
Yeah, I think it's because Frankenstein is a very original idea. Like you said, it's like the first time where a sentience is created and runs amok.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I feel like novels are just better at wearing the test of time. And especially like, I feel like Frankenstein had some social point in the book, whereas Family Guy is a fucking comedy show.
Whoa.
I mean, sure, they have
social
points
Family
in
Guy
Family
as
Guy.
an example of like a modern whatever.
Okay.
There's that joke in Family Guy where it's like Dr. Frankenstein, and he has like a dead body on the table, and he rummages through the pockets and he finds his wallet and he goes, "It's a 5. It's a 5."
There's also that
funny stuff from Family Guy.
There's also that joke where it's like he's making the monster and Igor's like, "Why did you make a guy?" And he's just like, "Oh, so I should have made a woman to have sex with it? Is that what you're saying?" And he's just like, "I don't know, man. I'm just saying you shouldn't have made a guy."
He's trying to make life. Who fucking cares?
I like the Rick and Morty one where Jerry and Sleepy Gary like need to go talk in private because they're secretly lovers. And Sleepy Gary's just like, "Let me tell you a little bit of something about Frankenstein, Rick. He's actually Frankenstein's monster."
Yeah, that's true. Like, people always forget that Frankenstein was the fucking doctor.
Yeah.
The monster was just the monster.
Yeah, literally just Frankenstein's monster.
Wait, I wanted to bring something up before we got into Blade Runner and then this really long tangent, but I told both of you this story already, but this insult that I heard today, I wanted to get it down so I'll have it forever so I can always remember it. So I was playing StarCraft, and some guy picked a fight with me back and forth. I was just like calling him dog and bruh, and he was calling me like rude slang words for gay people for whatever reason. Then he also told me to suck his dick, so you know.
Mike's up for it. Just give him your address.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I think someone. Anyways, so then he continued. He called me, and this was the greatest insult I've ever received in my entire life. He said to me, "You're a fat ugly, geeky gamer girl who took a taxi to prom.
Like, what does that even mean?
What does that mean? What does it matter?
Well, if we want to take it point by point, one, you're fat, you're ugly, you're a geeker gamer girl, which are all just negatives in today's society.
I am definitely a fat, ugly gamer, geeky girl.
Well, gamer girl's not negative. What about Felicia Day?
That's true. Gamer girls are neutral.
She's got red pussy hair.
Eric!
She also had one of the
I
most
don't know
popular...
that for a fact. I apologize.
I mean, the carpet matches the drapes, right?
One would assume.
One would hope.
No, but my pubes are black and my hair is brown.
Okay, they didn't need to know that.
I mean, my friends' pubes are black.
Oh, Jesus.
But the taxi to work thing, or the taxi to prom, like, it's like, what does that mean?
Well, it's saying that like you were a wallflower who didn't like ride in a limo with a bunch of your friends. You just took a taxi.
Okay, but like,
you didn't have a date, so you had to take a taxi.
My girlfriend at the time, like, her dad drove us. Like, is that
pretty? That's kind of a loser thing to do, but I mean, sure, if you have to have.
Did you ride in a limo, Garrett?
No, I drove a car.
Oh.
I drove my own car.
Nice.
See, I was too fucking cool to go to prom. I didn't even go.
Oh, I wish I didn't go to prom.
Busy smoking weed and pumping yourself full of that heroin.
Hey, I never did heroin. Don't joke about that.
Fucking, I prom. I wish I never went to. That was the lamest night of my life.
I heard it was lame, like, from people who went. This chick was like, so I saw you weren't at prom. I was like, yeah. I was like, fuck it, I don't want to go. And she was like, yeah, all it was they played, like, really shitty rap music and served terrible food.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well.
Yeah, I have a lot of regrets about prom.
The food was terrible. I talked to your real friends, and then you see some guys or girls or whatever that you have had a class with, and you talk to them, and like they don't want to
grab by the pussy.
They don't want to talk to you because you're not actually friends. And then like I remember me and my girlfriend at the time just sitting there at the table, and she's like, "I told you we shouldn't have gone," and I was like, "Yeah, what do you want me to say? Like, I don't know. I figured we should go, but
wait,
you're right.
You're the one that told her you wanted to go to prom.
Yeah, dude, like, right, like that's so not like me, but I wanted to go to prom.
Mike. What did you do? You could have just been in the back of your house fucking her.
Well, I'll tell you, I didn't go to after prom because my girlfriend at the time went and did LSD at after prom, and I was like, I don't want to be around this, so I went home and I played WoW. And
such a goody two shoes.
This is back in vanilla, dude. So this guy that I played WoW with, that I met online, and then this girl that we also played with, she was leveling up, and she was like in her 30s, so we were Horde, and we ran on our land mounts all the way to Nomerang, and ran her through that like 5 times. Nomergon.
Wow, you really know how to fucking party.
That was my after prom. We went up, and like it was awesome. We stayed up to like 8 a.m. just running that over and over again. It was fucking. It was a good night.
Eric, can you say it again, Eric?
What?
Can you say it again?
Oh yeah, Eric. Like you definitely had better nights. Fucking sitting in your buddy's garage, smoking out of a bong.
Well, I guess it's all relative, right?
Yeah, everyone has their own
don't fucking. Don't try to fucking shame me for what I did.
I wasn't trying to shame you. I was just making a joke.
Yeah.
But
come on, guys, we're all friends here.
But yeah, I think
brothers.
I think on prom night I probably was sitting in my buddy's garage, smoking a bee.
I wish I was. Damn, you did that really well. How'd you do that?
You get a lot of liquid in your mouth, and you just kind of.
Never mind. I didn't want to know. After you said a lot of liquid in your mouth, I was like.
Yeah, that's like pretty accurate, actually.
Yeah, it sounds really good, but me imagining you doing it makes me want to gag.
Okay, so let's get back. Let's get back on topic. Garrett, what was one thing you did like about Blade Runner? Like, what was your favorite scene?
Whenever what was the snake chick? What was her name?
Not Pris, so I don't remember.
Eric, you knows everything.
Well, Mike knows the movie better than me. If he don't remember, I don't fucking... Rachel, maybe?
No,
Rachel was the one that fucked Harrison Ford. God damn it.
Rachel didn't fight Harrison Ford. Pris fought Harrison.
Fuck. I said fuck.
I thought they said...
They had intercourse. Is that what you want, Mike?
Well, if you want to talk about that when they fuck, she runs to the door and she's like, "No." And he like slams.
He like rapes her.
Yeah, he rapes her.
He rapes her.
He slams the door and he's like, "Yes," and like he's like, "Kiss me," and she's like,
me.
"No, kiss me," and like he forces himself upon her. It's really fucking weird, man.
Yeah, it was really awkward actually watching it. Anyway, I found out her name is Zora.
Okay.
My favorite part was when Zora was undressing, because that was the only part that was entertaining.
Did you like when she got shot and she was wearing that invisible raincoat?
Yeah, she had that like see-through clear jacket on.
Yeah.
And then like, yeah, they had some weird outfit choices in that movie.
I remember when
like is that how they see people? Because that was set in 2019. So like, is that how they imagine us? Like, is that what they think we'll be wearing in 2 years?
Well, I mean, think about it, man. It was made in 82, so they were thinking ahead
37 years.
37 years. So imagine what it would be like in like 2050 something. Like that to us seems like so far away, right?
I mean, like I could still see suit and ties being a typical thing worn.
Yeah, you're probably right. See, I
guess Deckard did wear a suit and tie, so yeah, I guess that's not fair to say. But like, I guess women's outfits.
No, but in
not even women's, because fucking Rachel wore a typical it's just a fancy dress, so it was actually just her. I lie. I'm sorry. I gave bad props to the whole movie. It was actually just that girl that was dressing weird as fuck.
Well, she was a stripper in a very poor area of Earth.
I might have been very off base here. That might be how strippers dress.
Well, I mean, imagine if you came from the 1950s to now and you went to like the financial district of a major city. You'd see people dressed in suits and business outfits, and you'd think it's normal. But then maybe you see some like emo kid or something, and you'd think like, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I'm going to tell you right now, in 2050, we're all going to switch to, like, those, like, spaceman, like, onesie, shiny
I'll wear, like,
things.
onesie spandex.
Yeah, 2050, I'm calling it.
Why are we going to wear that, Mike?
Because that'll be officially the future, and for some reason, all these future, and, like, space aliens, like, aliens are either naked or they all wear the same clothing. So at some point, we're gonna have to become so advanced that we're all wearing the same clothing. Like the space ship doesn't open, and like one alien's wearing like a hoodie and the other one's wearing like a wife beater, right? Like they're all wearing shiny spandex onesies.
No, because like on Star Trek, that's like in the 24th century or something.
Yeah.
22nd?
Hey, they all wear the same clothing in Star Trek.
But that's a uniform.
No, they don't. Yeah, that's the uniform of
right.
Starfleet. Like on Earth, there's people just wearing normal clothes.
The Klingons all wear...
It's weird.
And the Vulcans, they all wear clothes that are basically the same looking shit.
Yeah, but those aren't humans, you dummy.
Well, But it was also... But I was talking about space aliens.
Yeah, but I was talking about humans and what did humans? You said by 2050,
2050.
we're going to be wearing.
We're gonna decide we're in the future.
Yeah, so we're all going to wear one the same. We're going to conform and wear one piece of clothing.
Yep.
Or I guess a uniform piece of clothing. That doesn't make any sense, Mike.
Don't worry.
Just saying.
You'll when 2050 comes around, you'll understand.
I'm not going to make it to 2050.
There'll be spandex jackets, one for everyone.
Living in America, you're not going to make it to fucking 2050.
I know, right?
I would be afraid to leave my fucking house at this point, honestly.
I know, there are I look outside the window and there are gunfights. There are cowboys I live in Texas, so that's actually pretty normal for Texas. There's always gunfights. People are always just lying in the street dead.
I just think it's...
You should listen to the song International Geophysical Year by Donald Fagen. It was a song.
Donald Fagen.
It was it's kind of like a sarcastic song because it was written in the early 80s, but it's about what scientists in the 50s thought life would be like in the 70s. And it's like talking about how everybody's wearing spandex. There's elevators going into space. You can go from New York to Paris in 30 minutes.
Hey, now that's going to be a real thing though, because Elon Musk said he wants to be able to travel from anywhere on the Earth to another point within an hour.
Yeah,
I think will be possible.
Yeah, for sure. They're going to get.
But the elevators to space, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Well, there is this concept called a space elevator.
Oh, yeah, the space tethers.
Well, how? Because where do the elevators go to?
I don't know. You would have to look
space?
it up.
I don't know.
It's some hypothetical concept.
No, that's a good point. It's it gets you up into the
space are gonna be moving, right?
Yeah, it's gonna get you up into the atmosphere, and then you're just all right, time to drift till I die, I guess.
Right. I don't know how a space elevator makes any sense.
Hey, but we're in an age that's pretty we're pretty advanced from even the 90s, because if you're rich enough, you can go into space right now. There are people that can take you to space.
That's literally the top 1% of the population.
Hey,
though.
but that's in the 90s era growing up. But that was no one would have thought that you could do that.
Yeah, that's true.
I think in the past, since I've been born, humanity has been advancing so faster than it ever did.
Well, it really all started right around the turn of the last century, as in the 1900s, because that's when we started to get electricity, cars, airplanes, and it's just been steadily increasing since then.
World War II was a huge.
You guys know
boost.
what exponential graphs are?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's the ones that look kind of like a hockey stick. It starts off kind of slow and then just shoots up.
Yeah.
That's our technology.
Yeah.
And this is the I can't think of the word, predicted outcome, or the predicted increase in technology. It's like a fucking exponential graph, because that's how we've been accelerating, and they don't expect it to stop.
I got a laptop in 2007.
And then as soon as you got home from the store with it, it was already out of date.
No. No.
That was just a joke.
Yeah.
I read on some forums.
But the cell phone that I own now, 10 years later, is 3 times as powerful. And it's crazy. A fraction of the size.
Yeah.
That just to show you how much we've been advancing. When you think about the first computer and how it was the size of multiple football fields or whatever, and it could do one fucking thing.
Well, a good comparison I saw was it was a visual comparison of the size of a computer, of a hard drive that could hold 1 gigabyte.
Yeah.
And it went from being in the 50s to being literally the size of a building.
Yep.
Then by the time you get to the 80s, it's about the size of a desk. Then by the time you get to the late 90s, it's maybe like the size of like a book. And then you get to now when it's like the size of your fingernail.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's not even that big. Like, I have a 32 gigabyte thumb drive I'm looking at right now, and it's like as big as one of the keys on my keyboard.
Yeah.
It's insane how quickly we advance.
Yeah,
like there were people alive whenever like the first computer was like, well, maybe not the first computer. Well, probably. When the first computer was made.
Yeah.
And then like to now, just to see that just rapid. Okay, now that I said that, it just sounds dumb. Of course there were people alive.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Because like, all right, my grandma probably was alive when the first computer was made. Okay, but yeah, so and then she's still alive. So it's just insane to see that technological increase.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I remember when flash drives first came out, they were like 8 megabytes and they were like $42.
Yeah, they were fucking expensive.
It was basically like, you want to bring your homework to school that you did on your computer, spend $40. Now you can get like, you can get like 30 gig ones or some shit?
Well, yeah, hell, I remember
the 32 gigabyte for maybe $20.
Yeah.
I remember the first ever MP3 player I got, which is maybe going back about 17 years ago, right around the turn of the century, and it could hold like 50 songs.
Oh man!
But at the time, it was like, holy shit, you could have 50 songs.
The first MP3 player I ever bought, it could hold 20 fucking songs. I instantly sold it to my friend and then bought an iPod because I was like,
well,
this is stupid.
With 20 songs, that's not even really that much more than a CD. Like, that's just stupid.
Might as well just take your Walkman with you.
Yeah. It was
did you guys have Walkmans?
Oh yeah.
I did. I actually I'm of like the age and of the I guess like what I'm trying to say, like the time I was born and the time I grew up, I had both a cassette Walkman, then a CD Walkman, then MP3 players.
Yeah, I used to walk around high school with a CD player.
See, the only time I remember using a CD player was when we'd go on vacation to the mountains. we would burn CDs, with our favorite songs of the day. And yeah, we'd have like maybe 2 or 3 CDs and use a fucking CD player.
When I was in high school, like MP3 players were around, but they were still it was still a kind of a better option to just burn a bunch of CDs and take them around with you rather than.
I had like a CD player and like a jewel case that I kept in my backpack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So
those were the days.
Our grandma was born in 1912, and like she passed away a while ago when I was a small child, and I find that so crazy because she died in the early 90s. So
no, she didn't.
When did she die?
Early 2000s, but go on.
Oh, okay, early 2000s. Even still, on my point, she saw it basically almost like 100 years, like 80 years or whatever. But like that's such like a long time period of the world fucking changing, right? Because we look back and it's like, oh, the 60s was a completely different time from the 70s, and the 60s was a different time was the 50s. So she lived through all of those changes.
She lived through World War I, World War II.
Yeah.
All these crazy, world-shaping events.
Yeah. And what was the last thing that we did with her was she'd go and play bingo and watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Walker Texas Ranger.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's so crazy to think about. Like, that's going to be us, though, right? Like, when we're... Because, okay, so... I don't see a huge difference between, the 2000s and then what we're in now, the teens. But, maybe we'll be able to look back, or when people look back on the 2000s like they do in, the 1900s, it's just going to be like, oh, yeah, every decade was so different.
Yeah.
I don't know, whenever I die, I imagine myself just laying in bed with a VR helmet on, doing my last raid in World of Warcraft. And I finally defeat Sargeras and all the
Sargeras
Void Lords.
is gonna die.
Yeah, okay. I finally defeat the Void Lords.
There you go.
And I give light to all of the universe,
and
only to realize that the light is too intense and it destroys the entire universe. And that's when I die.
Anduin looks at you, your tired character, and he goes, "You can rest now, champion." And you just like smile. You smile and nod and just die.
So my favorite part of Blade Runner is the
we're talking about that, huh?
Yes, what was your favorite part of Blade Runner?
I guess I would have to go as like cliche as it is. I do really like the end part with the whole like tears in the rain thing. That is a pretty iconic scene.
It was improvised. He was supposed to have this really long drawn out speech, and in one take he just kind of did that short version of it, and they fucking loved it.
It was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was a good bit of filmmaking. But I remember one time just randomly online I found it was like the words from that speech, but next to a picture of Sunset Shimmer, the villain from the first My Little Pony Equestria Girls movie.
Shut up.
And hang on,
that's all, folks. See you later.
And I sent it to Mike. And just like thinking he'd get a kick out of it because he loves Blade Runner, and you fucking flipped.
Well, it's like ruining, like these fucking bronies have to ruin everything. It's one of the greatest,
just the reaction
greatest scenes of all of cinema, and it's just like, it's made with those swimmers. Like, I don't know, like, he's fucking dying. He's realizing he's dying, and he's saved Deckard, and he pulls him up, and he's like, yeah, I was just fucking with you, dude. And he's just talking about all these great things that he was able to see. You know, he talks about, like, starships getting blown up, because I think he was in a war or some shit, or some battle, or some bullshit. And he's just like, all those moments lost like tears in the rain, and it's just
lost in time. But yeah,
no, it's lost
in time like tears in the rain.
There you go. Yeah, all right, whatever. So it's so good. It's such a good scene. It's amazing.
No, I agree.
I say that
ruined it with fucking
Sunset Shrimmers or whatever the fuck her
bitch
name
ass
is.
horse slut.
Fucking I can't think of a generic stupid pony name.
She's not a pony, she's a human.
Okay, whatever.
Well, she's a pony that became a human.
I'm trying to think of things, and I'm like, Pinkie Pie, and I'm like, okay, that's already one. Like, you can't think, because there's all this stupid generic, like it'd be like
cream pie McStuffins.
Butter Biscuit.
Butter Biscuit, that's a good one. That actually sounds like
and they'd be like, oh, howdy, y'all, and she'd have, like, a stick of butter on her ass or some shit.
And then there's one that's, like, chicken fried steak. And then there's another one that's, like, New York filet mignon. And then there's another one that's, like, Kansas City cut.
I can just think of, like, I'm sure there's, like, an OC out there where it's, like, oh, it's Slutty Pie, and her cutie mark is a dick because she's a slut. And, like, it's just... Fuck, I hate that shit, man. Fucking brony shit. What?
Dude, My Little Ponies is the worst thing to ever be invented. My
you
Little
know,
Ponies is worse than... I'm not going to say that.
It's pretty much a dead meme now, so we can just let it rest. What? We should wrap this up, boys.
You didn't say your favorite part.
Oh, my favorite part is the entire movie. Like, my favorite part, I guess would be Roy's death scene, or I really like the scene where Deckard's drinking and looking at the photos. The scene where they go to the eye doctor, that's really intense.
My favorite scene is whenever the guy with the cane, the other Blade Runner, I guess.
Goff.
I don't know his name.
Gaff.
He when just looks at he sees Deckard after Roy dies, and then he says some stuff, and then he just leaves.
He's like, she's a replicant, you know. She won't last, and he's like,
Deckard's
I don't care.
Like,
I'm
that's
going
my last one. That's the.
Oh yeah, and he's like, no, there's one more. Rachel, she's gone AWOL.
He's like, I'm done.
Mike, what you said when they go to the eye doctor?
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say something. They Roy and his buddy, I don't know, the other.
Yeah, the first one that comes up, the one that kills the interrogator at the very beginning. Yeah, Leon, that's his name.
They go to the scientist that makes the eyes for replicants. He makes prosthetic eyes.
I thought it was a euphemism for getting fucked in the ass.
Why?
What?
Why?
Okay. Good night, everyone.
You'll have to think about that one, but you'll get
Going to the eye doctor. I thought you were like, I think it'd be like, what, they go get their eyesight tested? But that is just...
It'll hit you in a couple minutes.
You know what? You blew my mind. My mind's fucked. We gotta... I can't even talk.
That was too rough. All right, Eric, say it. Lead us out.
Say your
see you next time.
There you go.
Bye, everyone.
That was a good episode. See ya.